Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And a very good evening to Madam Adiba and all the viewers.
Thank you for spending your time watching our video. Today we are going to talk about the federal government should ban smoking and all tobacco products.
And hopefully that what are we going to say after this will change your mind about this issue. Over the issue about whether should government ban cigarettes and relevant tobacco products has now brought more attention in the whole wide world. Although the economic benefits behind the tobacco industry contribute thousands of job opportunities, however, the ramification cannot be ignored.
Have you ever asked yourself what is your right as a citizen of the country? Have you ever realized that your government is neglecting your welfare? Have you ever think that smoking is not just a minor issue, but it is a serious matter? Have you ever felt that all tobacco products are always that bring nothing but harm?
What makes us interested in this topic is that our observation is that most of us Malaysians have the awareness that smoking is harmful and tobacco products are a waste. But the issue is most of us does not believe that smoking and tobacco products should be banned completely. On the basis of current smoking patterns, with a global average about 50% of young men and 10% of young women becoming smokers, and relatively few stopping. Annual tobacco attributable death had rose from about 5 million in 2010 to more than 10 million a few decades. Hence, as the young smokers of today reach middle and old age, this increase is due partly to population growth and partly to the fact that in some large populations, generations in which few people smoke substantial numbers of cigarettes throughout adult life are being succeeded by generations in which many people did so.
Both of us stand here today as concerned citizens of Malaysia who realize that this issue had reached its peak and we need to do something about it. There were about 100 million of deaths from tobacco in the 20th century, mostly in developed countries. If current smoking pattern persists, tobacco will kill 1 billion people in this century, mostly in low and middle income countries. About half of these deaths will occur before 70 years of age.
Specifically, we want to persuade that smoking and tobacco products bring more harm, thus they should be banned completely by the government. Smoking is unacceptable in any way. Smoking is a habit that brings nothing but harm. One may argue that it is their choice to smoke or not to, but it is no longer valid as the habit greatly endangered the smoker and the community. Firstly, smoking is a system of the deadliest disease. Lung cancer is the deadliest #1 killer in the world. This disease has killed many and it is absolutely very rare to survive this disease. It is a symptom of this dangerous disease. The government shouldn't let people put toxic chemicals into their bodies. It will cause many of their loved ones pain, their lungs fail due to smoking. It should be outlawed. It is a deadly weapon. Smoking is useless, selfish, and costs the system. Smoking is a choice. We all know it's bad for our health. It is not beneficial. It causes so many devastating illness and death each and every year. Manufacturers and the government are greedy. The tax money they make from sales of tobacco, but healthcare costs more. Most of our friends smoke and we hate them because that's purely selfish. Cigarettes are pointless product that does use harm and no good.
Next, banning smoking does not harm individual figures. If the government bans cigarettes, they are taking steps to secure the safety and well-being of thousands of individuals. Even if believe in the freedom to live a better life, the government has a responsibility to those in specific countries, and banning cigarettes means they are fulfilling the responsibility. Finally, smoking is stupid. Why would you ruin your health just to get a negative pleasure when you can make a hobby out of something else? Smoking tobacco ruins the economy because the federal government had to spend $1 billion of ringgit and borrow money from other countries for health care. Plus, it ruins the health of others around you and the air that is supposed to be clean. So please, stop smoking. Now that we have understood well how smoking ruins our life, next, let us explain why tobacco products are a waste. Tobacco products have caused a lot of waste to our country. Nevertheless, the government is still persisting on producing them. We need to know how the tobacco products pollute our environment, hence realize they are just a waste. Firstly, tobacco products kill our forests. In many growing tobacco countries, evidence indicate irreparable environmental damage from tobacco agriculture, particularly when associated with the deforestation necessary to increase farmland for tobacco growth and cure tobacco. June 1995 Village's Statement on Tobacco Sustainability Development concluded that in the developing world, tobacco poses a major challenge not just to health but also environmental sustainability. An estimated 200 hectares of forests and woodlands are cut down each year because of tobacco farming. In Southern Africa alone, an estimated 140,000 hectares of woodlands disappear annually into the fires necessary to kill tobacco, accounting for approximately 12% of deforestation in the region. Next, tobacco products pollute our soil. Environment degradation also results from the tobacco plants leaching nutrients from the soil, as well as pollution from pesticide and fertilizer. Indeed, a large and frequent application of pesticides are required to protect the plants from insects and disease. This not only causes severe health problems to the farmers as they are not properly equipped and trained to use this chemical, but it also decreases the long-term fertility of the soil and pollutes the groundwater and waterway often used by the population downstream.
Moving on to our next point, tobacco products produce a huge amount of waste. The manufacturing of tobacco products also produce an immense amount of waste. In 1995, the global tobacco industry produced an estimated 2.3 billion kilograms of manufacturing waste and 209 million kilograms of chemical waste. This does not include the enormous amount of filters were produced in 1998, with many of them eventually littering countries, streets, waterways, and parklands. Compounding the extent of this problem is the waste created by cigarette packaging, lighters, matches, and other polluting byproducts of tobacco use. Next, tobacco products are trapped to our environment. First, solid, liquid, and airborne waste produced during the manufacturing process. Some of these materials are designated by the Environmental Protection Agency as toxic release inventory (TRI) chemicals, meaning the waste of products are considered hazardous. In 2008, over 1 million pounds of toxic chemicals were released by tobacco product manufacturing facilities. The top 5 chemicals released were ammonia, nicotine, hydrochloric acid, methanol, and nitrate compound. There has been a global shift in tobacco production into low-cost producer countries of the developing world, which are typically characterized by the fragile natural environments and less regulatory influence over the manufacturing process, which involves many chemicals on the TRI. If tobacco was a dangerous and the killer substance they say it is, wouldn't any reasonable person outlaw it outright and ban smoking and tobacco products completely? Why don't they do that? Because there is too much money to be made from tobacco. Okay, first, the federal government does not want to ban tobacco. The Office on Smoking and Health reports, there are 46,824,800 adult smokers in the United States, providing annual net tax revenue from cigarettes of $5,586,000,000. Next, tobacco will continue to be grown and cigarettes will continue to be sold. The difference, they hope, is that tobacco will be grown only by large corporate growers whom they can control, rather than by smaller independent family farms. Politicians don't want to ban tobacco. Although contributions to politicians have decreased in recent years, the tobacco industry continues to contribute millions of dollars each election cycle to candidates for Congress in an effort to influence federal policies.
Next, doctors don't want to ban tobacco. According to a federal database of tobacco quota holders, 300 of Kentucky's 7,000 doctors own the right to grow and sell tobacco, while at the same time they are telling their patients they need to quit smoking. Healthcare industry does not want to ban tobacco. Insurance companies have their eyes on the deep pocket of the tobacco industry to line their pocket with more profit. The argument of recovering health costs is nothing more than an outright lie to disguise the transfer of wealth from one industry to another. Lastly, lawyers don't want to ban tobacco. They're more than just about anyone else, stand the greatest opportunity to enrich themselves through anti-tobacco litigation. Finally, now that we have understood why the authorities are still not banning smoking and tobacco products, hopefully we can now view this issue from a better perspective.
Nevertheless, today we had gained exposure of what is really happening in this world. Thus, we want you to realize that smoking and tobacco products are dangerous and the government should ban it completely.
We must remember smoking does not bring any benefit to ourselves, other people around us, and the environment. Tobacco products are also just a waste and brings nothing but harm to our country. More importantly, now we have knew the reason that the authorities do not ban smoking and tobacco products.
Hopefully, all of you are in line with us to clearly want the government to ban smoking and tobacco products. My name is Megat, Faris, Danial.
My name is Imran bin Hamli,
And we want the federal government to ban smoking and all tobacco products completely.
Thank you and Assalamualaikum.